Okay, do we have many people there or not? Should we give a minute or two? Oh, I see we got 11, 12 people or whatever. Maybe well, what I'm going to do, I'll talk for about 15, 20 minutes. On Google, what's wrong with it, how to use it better, and what your alternatives are when it doesn't work for you, okay? And that's what really it's all about. I'm trying to get people to understand and know how to get the information they really need. And unfortunately, Google doesn't do that, and for many reasons. I mean, it's the best we got. But it's not. It's not solving problems like we want. And what bothers me more than anything is that not only it's not solving problems, but it's thinking people can't solve their problems. See, that's more important than anything. It is making. If we're encouraging people to believe that their problems can't be solved unless they got a ton of money, now that's wrong, because you don't need a ton of money, in this society to solve your problems, but you have to know your alternatives, and Google won't give you your alternatives, and that's where I want to go. I'm going to go through, okay, for about 20 minutes now, and then put your questions in, at any time, and if I don't get them to you at the end, I'll spend some time after I go off the air and answering your questions, right on my Facebook. So don't worry about that, me not answering your questions, and if we don't get to your questions, while we're doing the seminar. So I'll answer any questions you guys leave. Okay, now, what's wrong with Google, right? Well, I have an MBA in computer science, and I specialized in databases, and this is back in the 70s. Yeah, back in the 70s. Man, most of you people probably weren't even born when I started my computer career. And what I really saw is that information became so important, and that was back in the 70s. Before the 70s, nobody cared about information. And that was really the oil embargo started all that. Once we had the oil embargo, now all of a sudden we had to worry about some country nobody even heard of was bringing us to our knees, because of oil. So people had to know about information. So I started one of the first information brokerage companies in Washington, D.C. back, in the 70s, and went through the 80s, and it was a way to get information. Now, so Google, man, it's great. I build databases, computerized databases and everything, and trying to get people external information. What's going on in the world? And I was helping businesses, Fortune 500 companies, do that. Okay, now here's the first thing. The first problem about Google is quantity versus quality. Okay, you go Google something now, anything. I mean, like I Google a lot, because I'm doing a lot of work for people buying houses and fixing up houses and stuff like that. So put mortgage. Now, if you put mortgage into Google, you get 127 million. What the hell are you going to do with 127 million websites? Or you put in debt. If you have debt problems, you get 385 million websites. Man, you're not going to live long enough, right? You're never going to live long enough to figure out what's a good website. You don't know if it's some wacko in the basement of some burnt out building doing a website, or it's the best information in the world. There's no way to tell. So that's why you have information overload, and that's always been a problem. With since the advent of computers, it's dealing with this information explosion, and because of the internet now, we have so much more information. So now we have a bigger information explosion than any time in our life, and it gets worse. I mean, like the data I've seen, like, from like the caveman till 1950, the amount of information that was generated then is sort of like equal to a year that we generate now, So it's growing exponentially, and we have to learn how to deal with that. And that's why Google is sort of like our best bet. But you have to know when to use it, when not, and what problems there are with it, so you make informed decisions and you get the right information and you make the right options in life. I mean, right now there's 1 billion websites, 1 billion. I don't know what the hell a billion is, and I live in Washington where we throw away billions of dollars like it's nothing, And when I was first starting the information business, I'd go to the Library of Congress, and they had a couple million books, but that was the largest source of information. See, and I go there free and copy books and things like that and sell them to my Fortune 500 companies, the research reports that were copyrighted, so that was public information. But now you have a billion. You don't have a couple million, you have a billion. And actually, for $1 billion, I think if I remember correctly, if you spend $1,000 a day every day since the day Christ was born, you still don't get to $1 billion. It's just astounding figure. So you have that quantity problem. So you're overwhelmed and don't know what to do. I call it a Google haystack, because then you got to find out, your needle in that Google haystack. Okay, so that's one. Number two is advertising. Okay, what has become to Google? What has become of Google? It made Google the richest company in the world, probably, because they're selling advertising. Now we spend more money on advertising on the internet than we do on television. That's right. So it's more. That's what's going on. And that's not counting all the geeks that are out there trying to, figure out what Google's algorithm is, so they could, game the system and get your website on page 1 and everything. And they're gaming that. So some guy in his basement who has bullshit data figures out the algorithm, and they're going to be on page 1. But all the time, all the money, all the energy that's put into people trying to figure that out. That's why it's like you coming to a gunfight with a knife. You have no way of winning. You can't. And this is what. So it's all money. So now that there's so much money involved, people make money off of you. Because you're looking for something, right? Now, I did a sample search. I put in business grants, because a lot of people want to start businesses and they think there's grants out there. So I do a lot of custom research reports for people to show them the real grants out there. Because if you go to Google now and you put in business grants, I look at the first 2 pages, like on the first page, there's 17 items described. Okay, 17. First of all, half of them are people selling you loans. So that's why you're going to get and believe that, oh boy, there aren't no grants or something for me, so I better take out a loan. That's not right. And that's not true. These people are spending money to get their website on page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The good stuff is on page 35 that you'll never get to. So that's it. And the other things of the 17 websites, okay, more than half of them are people selling you money. Okay, so you're looking for a grant for free money, and you got people there telling you, hey, I'll sell you money. Or another thing, what it is that, most of them are like SBA grants, because people, okay, business, I want a grant or whatever. And actually, the SBA grants, the grants that the SBA talks about are really for, they're the most complicated grants I've ever seen. And I've been studying this stuff for 40 years. They're small business innovative research grants. And there's something, actually, there's states that give grants for you to figure out how to get that grant. So they're legitimate grants, but they're not for the small business just starting out or something like that. These are high-tech ideas, and they're important, but it's not what 99% of people are looking for when they're looking for money to start a business. So that's out of the way. But that's on page 1. So you think that's the universe. And then, see, what the other thing that really gets me is the grants that they have on that first page are mostly by big corporations that give out business grants. And that, to me, is one of the biggest scams I've ever seen. Because you have these big billion-dollar corporations. They're giving out like $30,000 in grants to businesses, and 5 people get them. These are billion-dollar companies investing $30,000 in grants. They're spending probably $1 million in advertising, so they get publicity that they're giving grants to little businesses, and they get free publicity because they're picking 5 people to give $1,000 a piece for or whatever, and they get $1 billion or $1 million worth of publicity or more. And so that's not. It's not going to go far. Sure, a few people are going to get them, but that's a lottery kind of game, and it's so small. That's the thing. There's hardly any people using them. It's not where the action is if you need money, free money to start a business. So that's what You know, and that's what I'm saying. So that's what it is. And so if you go through 3-4 pages of that, then you're going to say, oh, there's no grants here. I can't start my business. And that is wrong. See, and that's why I want people to understand about that. You know, and here, you know, there's another thing about Google is that accuracy, okay, accuracy. And this is becoming more and more of a problem, you know, in our society. And I don't mean fake news. I mean, that's part of it, because now in Google we got fake news and people going out, you know, walking into pizza parlors with machine guns or whatever, you know, because they read something, you know, that was fake news on the internet, you know. But that's a different issue. What I'm talking about is that people don't know anymore. So you're looking on Google and trying to search for an answer to something or whatever, well, most of that stuff is not right, no matter who they're talking about anymore. Just that's the way the system is nowadays. It's too complicated out there. Nobody can keep it up. Anybody who knows is an expert really just knows about yesterday. They don't know about today or tomorrow, because that's changing all the time. Now, if you Google right now, oh, see, I'm telling you to use Google after I'm badmouthing them. They are good at something, you know? But you have to know when and where. Okay, if you Google like scientific journals wrong, you will see there's a whole bunch of very credible studies that show 60% or more of the studies that you read, like, you know, bananas are going to make you smaller or something like that. You know? Okay, over 60% of those studies are wrong. They could never reproduce the results again. So it's just like some guy at a bar. I don't know if you remember Cheers, that guy at the end of the bar, the postman who always had an answer for anything. He was sort of like, and that's what they're doing. They think it may be right for somebody, but it's not right anymore, you know. And it's, you know, after the day is published, just their sample, and that was it. So that's why. So if you have 60% of the best scientific research in the world is wrong, wow, and we're believing these people off the street about what's right or wrong, you know, to do. That's what I mean about grabbing your life, you know, and not believing what some experts do, because they're probably wrong. But see, the problem with the experts is they can't charge a lot of money if they don't convince you that they know what they're doing, right? That's right. Yeah, they have to. And I was talking to somebody who actually was a book I'm reading, and he went to be a business consultant, went to one of the big business schools, you know, and then he was going to go to these consulting businesses where they charge a lot of money for you to say how to run a business. And he said, you know, that he can't tell clients he knows the answer. He said, that's absurd. Nobody does. You know, and he says it in such a great way. He said, if someone convinces you they think they know the answer, that's the first clue you know they're lying. And they can't. And he couldn't do that. And his boss said, well, no, we charge these people $500,000 a year. They have to believe you know the answer, you know, when you don't. So they can't. There's too much in the system to make them not give you the right answer or the truth about they don't really know. I mean, look at Trump. The best experts in the world, the best statisticians, everything, said he didn't have a snowball's chance of hell, right? I'm downtown Washington, D.C. You know, next January 20th, that sucker's coming to town. No matter what anybody said, the smartest brains and everything said. Well, you look at the Wall Street Journal, like a year before, a month before the stock market crash. Nobody was saying it's going to crash. Nobody. These are the best experts in the world. So you go to your expert broker or whatever like this and say, hey, is it a good time to invest in the stock market? Yes. Even when it's down? Yes. Even when it's up? Yes. Why? Because that's where he makes money. Yeah. So it's important. So you have, by the way, somebody missed the first point of this, but you know, this is going to be online, so you can watch the whole thing again. So number one was quantity. Number two was advertising. Okay, number three was, you know, accuracy. And I don't know, I know, you know, when you read stories or something, so these blogs that say, if you want to know the best way to do something, you get some blog that has figured out you're searching for that, so they're going to have the 5 best ways, you know, to poke your eyes out or something like that. that, or to make $1 million with elephants, all that kind of stuff. And all they're doing is getting that headline. It's clickbait for you to think that they're not an expert in how to treat elephants. No, they're an expert in how to get this search engine to get their article or their blog on top. That's what it's all about. And then you have blogs by companies who are selling you something, so they have this little blog because then they, able to get more in the search engine and get up on stuff, higher in the ratings because they have an official blog. No, their official blog is to sell you something, So it's not. So that's why, I remember, I don't read the paper as much anymore, but if there's a story about you or something you know very well, like, appears in a blog or in a newspaper or something, you read that story, and you'll see the first paragraph is probably right, second paragraph is probably half right, then after that it gets real mushy. There's not much credibility in it. That's because you know. So now we're reading everything we read we don't really know about, so we trust these people, and they can't be right. And because it's just too hard to be right. Look at it. If the best experts in the world are lucky if they're right a third of the time, then you have to take that into consideration in what you're doing. So it's accuracy a problem. Okay, the fourth thing is you have to know the right questions to ask when you search Google. Right. See, this is why I wear question mark suits. Actually, I have a new way now, question mark suit. I don't know if you know Spoon Flower. They make fabric, and I just sell them a graphic of, hey, I'm on purple with yellow question marks and green question marks, and for like next to nothing. They give me a couple yards of fabric, and I send it to Vietnam, have the suits made. It's terrific. But anyway, so it's you don't know the questions to ask. Like if you're looking for a grant, okay, well, I understand, and this is why I try not to use the word grant. I try to use free money, because like in the government itself, only 20% of the free money that the government gives out is called a grant. Only 20%. And most of that is going to other government agencies, usually local agencies, state agencies, stuff like that. So they're not even going to you. But that's only 20%. 80%, over $1.5 trillion is given out, and it's not even called grants, and they're giving out more money than ever before. So that's the problem. See, and it's hard. Nobody knows. It's hard. You're going to something you really don't know a lot about. You're asking the wrong question. That's why, to me, I always started wearing the question mark suits. The reason I did is the answers are easy. You Google, you get 150 million answers, right? But if you don't ask the right question, you're screwed. And see what happens, I think that people have something to do in life, and they're trying to do it in life, and they're putting in, I need a grant to do this, and they say, God, there's nothing there, or it's only going to state and local governments or something. Well, that's not the right question to ask, see, and that's it. So that's the fourth thing. Now here's the fifth thing that really ticks me off. You can't call Google. They don't have a phone in the office. Unless you're going to buy $1 billion of advertising, there's no way to call Google to find out what they're searching in it. Okay, if I want to start a business, what's the real thing? Because you have some bean counter back there or algorithm decide what to categorize things as, right? So you have to know that, but you don't. Only they know it. And especially me, what I see is that it's some 22-year-old, kid just out of college developing that algorithm, how they're sorting these things in Google. And I'm a 73-year-old guy who I would never think like a 22-year-old, right? So how am I going to figure out? That's what I think. All the instructions to things are written by 22-year-olds at these, high-tech factories. And a 17-year-old guy, I can't figure it out. That's why 22-year-olds don't even use how-to manuals or whatever. But us old guys still seem to rely on it. So you can't call Google to see, hey, what should I search for? What's the best thing to search for on that? So you don't even know the question to ask. So you'll put in grants and maybe play around for somewhere, and you'll waste an hour or two doing something, and because you'll get attracted. It's sort of like a cool bookstore, and you're lead this aisle and that aisle and whatever, and still, not find anything. Okay, but if you know alternatives, like here's the number one alternative I think is great, is 211.org. 211.org. Okay, now if you're looking for free help, you're looking for free money, that's all they have in that database, is only free stuff. And it's really for nonprofit organizations. It's all the stuff. See, the people that don't have advertising money. See, what Google specializes in is people have advertising money because they'll give them advertising dollars to get them up on the first page. Okay, 211.org is a nonprofit organization, that only identifies in their database people who give out money for free or people who give out free help. Okay, that's all that's in there. And the neatest thing about it too, you could call them. So if you don't know what to call, like you put in a grant, no, they probably don't, because I use it a lot, is financial assistance, is the word to use for them. But you don't know that, so you put in grant, you get nothing. So if you get nothing, you have a call, and the people are on the phone 24/7 to and they'll give you the information over the phone. Man, where have you seen that before? If they're not, particularly unless they were charging $100 an hour for the service. Now that's incredible to me. And it's in every country, in every city. It's actually only about 97%, I think, of the cities around. And but it's just a wonderful thing. And doing the snow here, I call them up and see how to get my snow shoveled for free. Okay, I made too much money to qualify, but they did have groups that come out and shovel your sidewalk. So anything. You're looking to fix up your house. Or grandma's stuck, and needs help with something. It's a place you want to start a business. You call them because they'll show you organizations that help people start businesses for free. And they're the kind of people that are in that database. So that's another thing. Now the other thing, about all this, I think a way to deal with Google is, remember, .org and .gov. They're the ones. So any Google search you do or something like that, if it's .com, just let it pass. .net, let it pass. There may be good ones or whatever. I can't judge. But for simplicity's sake, if it's a .gov or a .org, it's going to be either a hell of a deal or free, because see, they're not making money off you. See, all the other people on Google are making money off you. They can't stay in business unless they get money from you, okay? So that's why they'll be your friend. They'll be so nice to you when you contact them, because they need money to survive, and they have to get it from you. These other people already got the money. They're going to get the same amount of money if they help you or not. So that's why sometimes you have to do a little harder work to get a hold of them, because their livelihood isn't based on bleeding you of every penny. So they're getting paid whatever. So that's why it takes work on the consumer's part to find these people, and so you have to do a little work, more work, to deal with it. So that's 211, and just try to concentrate on .gov, G-O-V, or .org, O-R-G, and that means a nonprofit organization. Now you may have to pay, but still, again, it's going to be a lot less. That's just how the system is. People are working for different things there, and I think more and more of our countries going towards that, but that's a biased opinion. Okay, another thing here is experts that are available. See, if you can find an expert that knows all this stuff. See, you're diving into this the first time, okay? There are experts who know all this stuff where you live. See, they know it. And a call or an email or just drop in to them will save you hundreds of hours on Google and finding something out. Like here for business, it's called the Small Business Development Center. So if you put, I think the national organization is Americas, A-M-E-R-I-C-A-S, America's S, I forget if there's two S, I should have said SBDC, Small Business Development corporations. Now, even though it says corporations or centers, maybe that's what it is, it's a nonprofit. That they get grant money from the state, from the federal government to help anybody, any kind of business. I mean, they'll help you, inventors for free. People, if you're an inventor, you're going on the Google and looking for help with your invention, you're going to get these bloodsuckers who are going to get $10,000 out of you because they know how to do it. Yeah. And they're practiced, man. They know how to get you. These people do the same thing for free. So why pay all this money when you can get it for free? And even if you don't believe it, I think you have an obligation at least to try the free one first. Why waste the money? See, to me in life is we don't know what works. You and I don't know what works. The experts don't know what works. So what we have to do in life is keep trying and keep failing, tell you the truth, until we figure it out. That's what life is about. We're all working on a science project, our life. Yeah, that's exciting. So you're in the laboratory like a science, a mad scientist trying a little this, trying a little that, and then one day you knock over a can of something by accident and you say, wow, that's sticky notes. And you find something by accident. So that's what your life is like too, I feel. So you have to try all these things. But if you're spending money on every try, you're out of money before you find the answer. And that's the key, I think, in life, is staying and finding free ways to do things until you find the answer, because nobody knows what that, but there's people out there who will convince you, because they convince me over and over. It's a lesson I keep learning over and over again, about trusting other people, thinking they know the answer, because it's human nature. We don't know, we're scared. That's why where the question marks go. So, in my mind, is that I'm scared as hell and I don't know what to do. And so people who know how to sell could take advantage of that, right? Okay, so you have the Small Business Development Center, your County Cooperative Extension Service. Wow. I mean, particularly if you're in the food business, you want to be in the agriculture business, which is a growing, urban agriculture or anything. Actually, in finance, they help you with personal finances. They help you, you want to make, banana bread out of your kitchen and sell it. They help you all these kinds of things, or how to get rid of moles in your backyard, or how to grow food in your backyard, and what grants are available to help you do that. See, that's somebody who's studying that 24/7, and they've probably been there 30 years doing it. So they're going to know anything you Google is going to be some huckster figured out how to get on page 1 that wants to sell you something. Yeah. So somebody goes to sleep every night thinking about this. And what I found too in the government, which hasn't changed in all this kind of stuff that I've been doing for so many years, is that these people, particularly in the government, nobody even knows they're there. So when you ask them for help, and they're dying to help you, because their wife's sick of hearing about it, or their husband or whatever. And so you come with a genuine need and interest, and they're wonderful to work with. So that's the County Cooperative Extension Service. Also vets. Now, we have a lot of vets in this world. I'm one. Now, what I found too, that we now have county veterans. It's called County Veteran Service Offices. County Veteran Service Officers, I think it is. And they're in every county. So find that, because they help vets and their families get money. And see what's neat, I have a study too that shows that they get twice as much money for you than anybody else can. And I believe that's why you said Gover gives talks at the Vets Hospital here in Washington, and because I think vets should be first in line for anything. Man, you're going to put your butt on the line for us or whatever. And not only veterans programs, but any kind of programs, whether it's housing, starting a business, getting education, all this stuff. So I think they should be first in line for everything. Okay, here's another neat thing, financial thing. If you have any kind of debt problems, again, if you Google debt, right, you're going to get 385 million websites on that. Or Google this, HUD Counseling, HUD Counseling. These are free experts. These are, in the community, people, professionals or whatever, get grants from the government to help you for free. But they're not allowed to advertise. So if you go to HUD Counseling and find the HUD.gov that has counseling in it, you'll be able to go state by state and find all the people in your area to call and make an appointment for nothing, whether it's buying a house or figuring out your debt problems or whatever, anything, any of the financial thing, emergency stuff or whatever. And you can also probably find them in the 211. by calling them. So it's a HUD counseling. I mean, it's a first step for a lot of things, in this country. Now, another thing that is interesting that I see people don't realize, we still have libraries. You know that? Even with the internet, we're spending all this money on libraries, and they're wonderful. And you have to know how to use them. Because see, again, you have a staff of people right in your neighborhood who spends all the time researching information. That's all they do. So they're professional researchers like me, but they're free. I'm going to charge you money because I want to stay in business doing this. So you call up your librarian, and almost every library now has an Ask a Librarian, so you can go and text and things like that. Because they know what's in your area too, because they help local people with problems. So they know all that stuff. So they know what's available in your city or county or whatever. And so, and they have databases nobody else has. Like if you're looking for a grant, okay, you know what the biggest source of grants are? Are foundations. And foundations, there's about 150,000 of them that give out grants. Okay, now 95% of the foundations don't have websites. So you think everything's on the internet, okay? Well, 90% of the foundation money that gives out grants is not even on the internet. But it's at your library, and they can show you where it is, because there's a private database that'll cost you thousands of dollars if you do it yourself. And you could go there to use it for free, and they even teach you how to use it, because again, it's a database. You don't know what the hell to ask. How do you ask the question? That too. So a way to know that that person is there, and sure, as somebody you're paying $1,000 a minute to, but it's certainly going to be a lot better than Comcast or somebody like that you deal with. That's in the private sector. First. Okay, now here's the
Okay, and the custom reports I'm doing, for you to get money to help or help grow or start a business. I, of course, show you dozens of places to get grants and low interest loans and stuff like that from government and nonprofit organizations. But I think what's really going on in our country is the stuff that's happening on the internet. And what's neat about it, and I show you these non-traditional business loans and crowdfunding and stuff like that, all these things that are now on the internet that help you get money for your business. What's great about them, it's a place to fail and win at the same time. There's no guarantee you're going to, like on a crowdfunding site, you're going to get money, or on a peer-to-peer loan site that, you're going to achieve your goal. But what happens, even if you fail, you win. And that's the neatest thing about it. Because, see, like on crowdfunding or even peer-to-peer loans, so you have a small business and you're trying to grow your little business, and maybe you need some whiz bang technology computer or something you want to do, or a new coffee machine or whatever. So you go on a peer-to-peer website, or on a crowdfunding site, and try to raise money for this thing you have to grow your business. So your business is going to grow and everything. But see what happens, even if you don't make your goal, you're contacting potential customers. People either come in your shop, or people that will hire your services or whatever, because they're the people that you're going to contact about the crowdfunding site. So now what's interesting, see, it's easier to contact them for something like a crowdfunding site or a sexy peer-to-peer site than say, oh, I'm just another person trying to sell you something. So it's a way to get attention and show people how great you are at what the heck you do. So it's a door opener. I mean, so many people, I've interviewed maybe 700 to 1,000 people that use crowdfunding and these peer-to-peer sites. And what happens is that because it's there in the public, in a place that would never advertise, and it's free, see, doing these things is free, absolutely free, people come in the door, oh, I didn't know you did that. So that they're not so interested in giving you a loan or your crowdfunding site, but they want to buy what you have. So they become customers or they become distributors. Oh, you have that? I sell those things, so I could sell them for you, and we could both make a lot of money. And that's what's so neat about the new ways of advertising or raising funds for a business or an idea or whatever. See, now you have, getting money in the traditional ways, you go to investment bankers or something like that, or traditional bankers, and they say no, and you're out of the game, right? So you get no leverage out of that. It's one person saying no, you go and knock on a door, they say no, and the game is over. Here, you're broadcasting, see? And so even if people say no, people are seeing this, and you're showing yourself to more people you didn't even know to ask. So you didn't even know to ask those people, but they were attracted by the site or whatever. And also, it's a way to have an excuse to market to these people. So if you're telling everybody in your neighborhood about your small business because you want to raise 10 grand for the new espresso machine, that means you're actually doing, you're making a sales call, but it's free and it's showing how great you are doing this stuff. And they're actually more likely to give you money because they want to use your new machine. But it's the same with services. You're a contractor, you're whatever you are, and you go to like potential clients to raise money for your contracting business. So really you're getting sales too. And then people see, because these platforms are public, people who come to these platforms all the time, just for curiosity or look for ideas, they're potential clients too. So that's what's so neat about the internet now. It's a place you fail, but you're winning. Where else are you going to do that? You're actually sometimes winning more by failing because stuff comes to you never knew to ask about. And that's the name of the game. We're all sitting here trying to think of the perfect thing to do, and we don't know what that is, tell you the truth, until we bang into it by accident doing something else, and then we look brilliant because we did it. But we never knew ahead of time. So that's what's neat. So there's always more than one way to do anything in this society. And so that's why I'm doing these reports, custom reports, that show you all the different ways and show you examples of people who do it these different ways and how to do it different ways. Whether it's getting grants or free services or stuff on the internet for finding investors for your business, or raising, crowdfunding money, or even peer-to-peer loans, which are cheaper than you'll get anywhere else. And many times, these things don't even ask for credit reports. That's what's so neat about it too. So it's really all about expanding the mind, and that's what I'm trying to help people do. Okay, I'd like to add something new to this report. It's a new way of getting money, actually, and it's a new way to invest in small new businesses, like to be an investor in the next Facebook or something like that, or Twitter, and you don't get left out anymore. And it's part of crowdfunding, but I've been following crowdfunding about 3 years now, and they've been talking about this where the little guy could invest, and it's really equity crowdfunding. See, this is for you to buy a share of the company. See, most crowdfundings, when you invest in a company, you're getting a product maybe ahead of time. Somebody invents a new watch or something like that, and they need $100,000 to make it. And then when it comes out, you got one for $50 because you were one of the early backers. So you gave them the 100 grand to make the money. And that's still available and very popular, and that's growing exponentially every year. But, how do you become an investor in the business? Or how does a small business person, look for investors? Because now, if you have to become a publicly held company, in other words, get people to invest in your business, you got to go to the Securities and Exchange Commission. It costs hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees and stuff like that. Well, now they made it easier. Now, a couple of years ago, they started with what they called accredited investors. And these are really fat cats, accredited investors. They're somebody making at least $250,000 or $200,000 a year, or have $1 million in income, and they're allowed to invest in companies. And I have a whole bunch of sites that, in an earlier video, I told you about how to do that. Now, you as a small business could put your site, could put your business there to raise money from these fat cats. But they have to be fat cats, so it's nice for the entrepreneur, but as an investor, or if you're looking for small investors to invest in your business, maybe you have a trucking business that you're looking for small investors to do it. So this is how to do that. So you could look for smaller investors, and actually here's the rules here. Now people who are making less than $100,000 could invest up to $2,000 in your company, or up to 5% of their income. So that's all they're allowed to invest in your company, because they don't want people out there ripping people off or whatever. And people making from $100,000 to $200,000, they could invest up to 10% of their annual income in your business. So it allows you as an entrepreneur to find money. Now this costs some money to do. All the other crowdfunding sites don't cost any money. So you put it on crowdfunding and want to raise money for your business, and whatever it is, a pizza place or a new game or whatever the hell you're thinking about. That doesn't cost you a nickel to do. This costs some money because it still involves the SEC, but it's a small way to do it. Okay, I mean, it's a small thing, and they really figure that it may be one of the big guys in the business doing this, Indiegogo, says about $7,000 you could get away with. So, but if you're going to raise 50 grand or 100 grand, that's not bad to do. So that's really interesting, I think, to consider, no matter what kind of business you have, or if you want to look for the next big deal to get into. Because see, before, when all the companies didn't go out to big investors, all the fat cats, so you had to belong to a country club to get in on this game, or already be a fat cat to get in. So here is a way for the little guy to invest in the beginning stages of some big hot company someday. Here are the big players in the game. One is Indiegogo. Now they're already in the crowdfunding business, and they're like number 2 almost in the business after Kickstarter and GoFundMe. So that may be 3 or something. I don't know exactly how they count and stuff like that. It depends. So they're one of the top 3, but they're the only one in this equity, and I feel that they're a good place to start if you're thinking about this, because they're really keyed in on the little guy. The other people are less keyed in on the little guy and already deal with the fat cats in one way. Now here, WeFunder, they have another way. You can look at these websites, see the kind of things they're getting. I mean, people are getting hundreds of thousands of dollars, from people off the internet who are investing in their business, So it's all just a piece of paper they're looking at, to get this money. Here's another one, Seed Invest. That's another one of these people. So I get about 45 big ones, Republic.co, that do this. So it's really, this is just started, just a couple months old. So it's going. They're already raising millions and millions of dollars this way. So it's something to keep an eye on. This is the future, old way we're thinking about banks and hanging around broker's office and things like that. That's old school, And this stuff is new and growing. Now, another thing about crowdfunding, particularly as an entrepreneur or business partner, business person looking for money to do something. Remember, crowdfunding like this, whether it's non-accredited investors or a strict crowdfunding, that you're looking for, you got to buy a new truck for your business or something like that. It can't hurt to do it, because when you do something like crowdfunding like this, it expands your market. So you now have, say, you need a new truck because your business is growing, okay? And so you're looking for people to invest $100 or whatever it is, and so you get up a down payment for a new truck and whatever. And what do you give? I don't know, maybe you give them swag. I mean, it's like NPR gives, coffee mugs and stuff like that. Or you can give them a ride in your truck. But if you make a product, you can sell them the first product or something like that. Or you have something you could dream up to do, because they're helping a lot of these crowdfunding things like that are really to help the community. And there's actually peer-to-peer loans where you can get loans like this too. So make sure you see the loans, because people could loan you the money, and it doesn't take all this paperwork to do that, $7,000, and you could get a loan and pay it back. So look at that. But in the crowdfunding, or even the loans, tell you the truth, where it costs absolutely nothing for you to do this, but it's a way to market. It's a way to get customers. Say maybe all your customers, if you're in the transportation business or whatever, trucking business. So all the people, you could ask them for money, for loans, because you're doing a fundraising campaign. So they become invested in your business. If you're going to open a coffee shop or something, you go to a community there who are potential customers. They become your marketing people now, because, hey, this guy's a good guy. He's a good business, and he's going to grow, and I lend him money. And so that's the word of mouth thing. And also it's a way to get publicity for your business too, because a lot of times, I'm Joe the trucker, who cares about that? But Joe the trucker is trying to raise down payment money for a new truck. He becomes a good local story or whatever. Or in your trade magazine, like all your potential customers, maybe the shippers, So Shipping Magazine will write about you because you're this ingenious person who's using, crowdfunding to get a down payment on a new truck, so he could help the shippers out there, in a more, economical or faster, better way, to do their business or whatever. So that's why it's great. You build up loyalty, you build up customers, and that's why, to me, most of life is just energy. You have to have the energy to do something. You have no idea what's going to work. Neither do I. I'm guessing every day. I try 1,000 things. 99% of them will fail. But you have to have the energy to do it, because you don't know what works. And that's why you have to do it with it doesn't cost money, because if you're going to run out of money fast and you won't be able to do anything. So look at these new things, particularly this non-accredited investor, for yourself as an investor, or for a way to raise money. And don't forget the other ways of crowdfunding, which is peer-to-peer loans, which is regular crowdfunding that I come, and you have a lot of examples in this report. I got 20 or 30 examples of people who got money like this for their business when they didn't have a pot to pee in, and they were able to start start and launch it. So there's always something new out there, and who the hell knows if it's going to work? And you don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to work, but you will know if you try it.